Iraq, and we were never challenged there. We were never. I am sorry, but this thing isn't working right. It's bothering me. Excuse me. And we have the war going on in Iraq. It's perpetual. Nobody knows when it's going to end. And it could have been solved before it was started. Because all we had to have done was to follow the law of the land. We should never go to war without a declaration of war by the Congress. Unfortunately, since World War II, we haven't declared a war, but we've been going to war, and we haven't won any of the wars, and it's time we figured it out. We have a seriously flawed foreign policy. We have forgotten what our Constitution says, and we have forgotten the wise advice of our founders that said, peace and friendship and commerce with all nations, entangling alliances with none, and mind our own business. Afghanistan. It's involved with nation building. It has nothing to do with Osama bin Laden. Osama bin Laden was there. We chased him away. He went into Pakistan. We didn't follow him. So we didn't even do the thing that we were supposed to do. So where do we have Osama bin Laden? He's in a country that has a military dictatorship that overthrew an elected government. He's in that country, and what do? They have nuclear weapons, and we subsidize them. I mean, it makes no sense, and you could go on and on about the contradictions of our foreign policy. For instance, how long have we been involved in Iran? For a long time, since 1953. Our government, our taxpayers went over there and helped to overthrow their elected leader, and we put in the Shah, who was a militant dictator. And then the American people asked the question, wonder why they don't like us. Well, we have to understand the foreign policy, and we have to understand why those individuals in the Far East who have a tendency and would like to hate us, would like to destroy us, but they usually like to have an excuse, and I don't like giving them an excuse. Yeah. Around for a long time. We went and we were allies with Saddam Hussein. We asked him to invade Iran. Do you think that would have annoyed him? Yeah, albeit so. So it goes on, and then we wonder why they take hostages and why they don't like what we're doing over there. And of course now we have occupied a country on each side of Iran, and we have our Navy out in the Indian Ocean, the Persian Gulf, and we have surrounded them, and we intimidate them. And then our people here sometimes ask, well, I wonder what we're going to do now. Well, very simply, we ought to just come on home. Yeah. 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 The conditions of war, which are seen to be perpetual, and we see no end in sight, because not only are we in Afghanistan losing troops and losing troops in Iraq, we're talking now in Washington, seriously they are, and some of us have met with some individuals who are very knowledgeable, wondering, could this happen in August when the Congress is not in session, when we literally start bombing Iran? So this to me is very, very dangerous. And quite frankly, it's very frightening, because the candidates on both sides of the aisle right now have not been willing to take off the table even a nuclear first strike against a country that's a third-rate country and has no nuclear weapons, no real army, and no navy. So where are we going with this? I say it's about time we challenge this notion that has been introduced to us just in recent years, that we as a country, we as Americans do not need preemptive war. Yeah. problem of the threat of terrorists coming here, because obviously it has been a real problem. It's been used excessively as an excuse, of course, to undermine our liberties and to not change our foreign policy, but it's been used as an excuse to make our foreign policies worse. But we have to be vigilant. We have to know about it, but we ought to understand, you know, the real reasons why they come here. But we also have to be realistic about it all. You know, there's concern, of course, that if we don't give up our liberties, they tell us, well, you know, then we will be unsafe. I don't believe that for a minute. I do not believe that we have to give up one single bit of our liberties to be safe in this country. Yeah. Never want to downplay an emphasis on the dangers that we face and the possibilities that exist. But putting it in perspective, if you take the numbers of people last year who died worldwide from terrorist attack, there wasn't a tremendous number. But if you add them up and you add up all the people who drowned in our bathtubs in this United States, there are more drownings in our bathtub. So, and this is quite frankly, how many people are suggesting that the government comes in and puts a camera in every one of our bathrooms in order to protect us. And this is sort of what they do when they overplay the terrorist card, is that they want to undermine our liberties, know every single thing we do, have national ID cards, search us and do whatever they want because they're going to stop terrorism. But, you know, 9/11 could have been prevented or greatly minimized with a much greater emphasis and respect for the Second Amendment. The responsibility for free society really to take care of ourselves falls on us. And we're not safe in our homes because there's a policeman standing out front. That's not the reason we're safe. We're safe because most people realize, especially in Texas, that there may be a gun on the inside. The fact that if you're running a company that is an armored truck company, you're hauling cash around, you know, we value our cash, so we hire a private guard with a gun, and they don't ever essentially get robbed. But what do? The cargo being passengers, we assume the government's going to take care of us, so they say you can't have any guns on the airplane, and you're not allowed to resist. That's what our government told us. So, very simply, if the pilots had had guns, or those terrorists thought they had guns, they might not even try, you know, to do what they did. So there's a lot to be said about defending ourselves and protecting our liberties by just being freer, not less free, and not with more government regulations and controls of our lives. Last 4 years or so, or probably since 9/11, especially since 2003, since the war broke out, there's been a lot of changes that have been very annoying to me, and I'm sure to you and those who love liberty. Because now we have accepted the notion that we are a country that we are so frightened that we have to start the wars. It's called preemptive war. I think that is a dangerous, dangerous policy. I think the images of Abu Ghraib and Guantanamo, they aren't the images that America should be proud of. We shouldn't be proud of the fact that our men have, I'm sure, a big minority, but nevertheless, it is an image that is spread around the world, and that helps to increase the number of enemies have. The idea that we have participated in torture in the past. And what do they talk about now? They don't talk about torture, they call it enhanced interrogation technique. You know, right out of 1984, and you're supposed to accept that. But we don't need to be part of that. But there is some